Okay.
Hey guys, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and I'm doing another Q from you. These were immensely popular, more than I was expecting. Got a lot of comments on my skeleton and Nurgle ones, so please keep them coming. If you have a question you just want an opinion about, and that's all I am, just one more opinion, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. Click subscribe. Very excited about this as far as its popularity. So we're going to hop into our next question. This question comes from, I believe it's pronounced Kagino, and it just asked me what I think about Clan Pestilens. He recently picked up a starter box and is new to Age of Sigmar. There's not a lot of details given about what he's looking to do as far as competitive versus narrative. Well, Kagino, that's a great question. They have an amazing start collecting box in terms of monetary value for models that you get, and that cannot be understated. You've asked that question to a guy who mostly plays narrative games. So that's kind of the approach I'm going to take. We're going to touch on the competitiveness a little bit in ways you can kind of mitigate some of their weaknesses. But what do I think about them? I think that they are an extremely fun, kind of wacky version of Skaven. So you have Skaven as a whole, and then you have this kind of subset called Clan Pestilens, which essentially what makes them different is they have the Nurgle keyword. That's going to come important later on, so pay attention. As far as thematic play, they're great. Skaven have always been an extremely exciting army as far as creating fun narratives, because you have these little guys that are so full of themselves. I mean, just ambitious and arrogant in the extreme, and there's no thought given to the fact that they are like the smallest of the small, right? If you read the End Times books, I believe it was... Thankful, that's what it was. End Times Thankful, there's a scene with like Ikit Claude as he goes nuts and just ballistic, and he's this little guy, but he's just running around stabbing people. It's awesome. So Skaven as a whole, including Pestilens, are really awesome for narrative play. They have a lot of subterfuge and backstabbing and things like that, things that are very engaging to play out on the table. As far as rules for Pestilens, they do a great job of kind of bringing things in the storyline to life. They really suffer from being one of the first battle tomes out, in that the world wasn't really fleshed out and the storylines weren't. So for what they have, they're exceptional in terms of narrative play. So I want to encourage you to, go ahead and build them. Also, don't feel confined to stay to Clan Pestilens. You can bring in, as we'll talk about soon, all kinds of Nurgle stuff that would be absolutely thematic, because your Nurgle warrior lords would want slaves who didn't die from the diseases that they're making, which Nurgle stuff wouldn't. And then we're going to move into the kind of the competitive aspect of it. Now, one thing, if you're going to try and go exclusively Clan Pestilens, you're going to run into a few things. One, there's not a lot of shooting. You have the catapults, but they're okay. They're basic artillery. There's nothing, extreme about them at all. If you want to go into, what I don't like is the warlords all have a very low wound count. So if there's an effect that does D6 damage, you could kill them in one shot, which kind of stinks. It's very true to them, but it's not something I'm really on board with, as far as I don't want my hero to die in one shot. The biggest thing I can say about Skaven from a, sticking with that subfaction thing, is that they are a candle that burns at both ends. When you ramp up the Plague Monks with all the buffs and the bonuses and things like that, they are wrecking balls. They can do an absolute obscene amount of damage. The thing is, they burn out really quickly. The second they start taking wounds, it's like an exponential decrease. It just sinks really, really hard and really, really fast. The thing is, you can count on them to do that damage just as much as you can count on them to be dying really quickly afterwards. And when you can count on things, that means you can prepare for them, right? You can have your Plague Monks go forward and cause an immense amount of damage, and then follow them up with something that's not Skaven Pestilens, but still works really well with them, to sit on objectives and cover your weaknesses there. So what would you pair with them? If that's kind of the route that we're going. If you want to build off of Pestilens into a full Nurgle army, or even just a general Chaos army to complement them, what would you do? Well, for me personally, what I would say is stick with Nurgle, because here's the thing that separates Pestilens from any other Skaven faction is that Nurgle keyword. So that's what you want to be abusing. This is what I mean. So if you have the Glotkin, he gives any Nurgle unit within so many distance, including himself, +1 attack for a turn. They have a spell that gives you +1 of your wound characteristic for the turn, and then people can die afterwards. But you can take your already buffed unit of Plague Monks from everything else in Pestilens, give them +1 attack, give them added resiliency for 1 turn. So, you know, we talked about the candle burning at both ends. It kind of extends it a little bit, right? Gives them a little more oomph. That's a very simple one. Also, you get a large centerpiece model that won't die as easily as everything else. The next thing I would really suggest you look at is Blight Kings. Blight Kings are awesome. They are tanky. They are, they have board presence. They're just big, literally big models. What makes them unique in a Pestilens army is, one, thematically, these guys would be the big overlords of the, you know, minute nothings kind of Pestilens slaves. So it's thematic, but also they give you that much needed anchor of just high wound, high save models on the board to cover objectives, be kind of a bigger hammer while your other guys rush forward and clear stuff out. Keep in mind that if you're going with Pestilens, you can use wizards that are also from the Rotbringers subsection to summon in Nurgle demons. Now this is 100% all very thematic. You can create storylines that incorporate all these things, and they would be perfectly viable. Now the thing about demons is they give you this ability to summon things 18 inches away across the board near an objective. You can use even bigger models like Great Unclean Ones, for example, things like that. So when you branch out, sticking within Nurgle but branching out from Pestilens, you really open yourself up to a lot of ways to fill in those gaps. The only real one that you don't have a good answer for is shooting. Chaos as a whole does not have a ton of shooting. So that's what I would say to you. Enjoy the box that you just bought. It's a great set, tons of value in there. Go ahead and add some more Plague Monks, really get that unit, you know, exploding, looking good. And then when you're ready to expand, really consider bigger models such as Blight Kings, you know, just a general wizard that you can use to summon demons and things like that. The Start Collecting Nurgle box is a fantastic value as well, and it would complement the two very, very easily. Only difference is you don't have a wizard, so I'd say get a wizard and then demons. So just consider that. Thank you so much for your question. Again, if you have a question, leave it in the comments down below, and we'll get to it in the next round of videos. Thank you very much. Happy wargaming.